So Netivot Shalom, and the Parashat is Achre Moth, page Ayin Tet. So כמעשה ארץ מצרים וכמעשה ארץ כנען לא תעשו. So you should not do like in Egypt and like Canaan, or the deeds of the land of Egypt and the deeds of the land of Canaan you should not do. And Hashem is speaking to Moshe, right? דבר השם ומשה לאמור, דבר בני ישראל ואמרת להם, אני השם אלוקיכם, I am your God. The same, or the things that happening in Eretz Mitzrayim, the land that you dwell within, right? You shouldn't do. And also not the thing which is in the land of Canaan that I'm bringing you to over there, right? Canaan is Israel. You know, sages, they explain what is it says, כמעשה ארץ כנען לא תעשו, וכמעשה ארץ מצרים וכמעשה ארץ כנען לא תעשו. That it seems to be, like what's, we need to explain, like what is it coming to warn us? Because we already have in this parsha, all the arayot, right? All the immorality thing were said explicitly, right, in this parsha. So why Hashem needed to say that again? And they explained that here, actually, it's not talking about the isur, the forbidden thing, but into the heter, the permissible thing, he's talking about. Because the physical thing that the Jews do, he shouldn't do the same way the Egyptian and the Knaani are doing it, the permissible thing. And also it says, איש של כל שאר בשרו לא תקרבו. Right, that the person should not get closer to his relative, and לא תקרבו לגלות ערווה, right? It's new place. And he said, but already these things that are forbidden, they've already been told us by the Torah. And again, what is it coming to teach us? So it says it's hint, as the sages are hinting that in the drasha, it says Gabe din nachala, right? The inheritance, the place, like a property, the real estate. He said din nachala she'ero zo ishto, like the relative or the she'er, the whatever left, this is his wife. So also what the Torah was giving us a permission, we should do only because we want to fulfill Hashem's will. And if not, then actually to be with our wife, it could be also like the erva, the immorality thing that the Torah is talking about. But Hashem will that we need to multiply and have babies, etc. So of course, it is permissible. Otherwise, it says it will not. So it says, according to the tzaddikim, the true righteous people, for a Jew, like there is no heter at all. Lo kayam bichlal heter, like we don't have a permission. But, or it is a mitzvah, or that we shouldn't do. Right? It's not like, oh yeah, you can do that. No, it's or a mitzvah and you must do it, or it's an aver and you should not do that. And because of that, the previous pasuk, the previous verse, it says, you shouldn't do what they were doing in Egypt and what they did in Canaan. And the Torah was saying in previous to that, Daber el bnei Israel, speak to bnei Israel and tell them that I am Hashem your God. Which means in this action, that type of action, although in action they are not forbidden, but they are depending on the way you do it. Don't do it like the Egyptian or the Knaani. And for that, the Torah is coming to warn us. Because Hashem knows our thought and He's examining our hearts. And therefore, כמעשה ארץ מצרים וכמעשה ארץ כנען לא תעשו. You shouldn't do that because I'm Hashem your God. I know everything. I know your thoughts. And in another way, a different way, we could say, what the Torah was saying about before that, it says, אני Hashem אלוקיכם, right? Before the verses about the action in Eretz Mitzrayim and the thing like in the Eretz Canaan that you shouldn't do. And this is he said that's the reason, the tam azara of the warning, the reason of the warning, what the Torah was commanded us about the hater, about the permissible thing, that we should not be naval b'reshut Torah. You ever heard that expression, naval b'reshut Torah? What does it mean? A villain in or a crooked person with like the permission of the Torah. The classic example is about a Levi that comes and he takes the Maaser before you gave it to the Kohen. He allowed to do that, but then the Kohen, the 10% for the Kohen will be less because the Levi already took it before. So now the amount reduced. So he can do that, but it's a Naval Birshut Torah. So the thing like in the gray area. Why not? Because I'm Hashem your God. And it says בבית אברהם בשם מרן בעל יסוד העבודה זכותו יגן לנו. On the pasuk, Musar Hashem b'ni al timas, right? We learn it so many times. Don't despise Hashem's Musar. That's the Musar that Hashem is telling us, don't despise, don't make yourself to be despised because you are my son, right? The king's son. So don't make yourself despised. Don't despise yourself with the things that are not according to your level, to your honor. Because the son of the king, right, is expected to behave differently. And he have different protocols and different rules, right, and responsibility that is not like a regular person. And even the thing that other can do, and they have permission to do, the prince, right, the king's son is forbidden to do them. That was the Hagdama to the Maseret Mitzrayim lo ta'asu, Maseret Knan lo ta'asu. I am Hashem your God. And because of that, it's like apply on us this special hanhaga, right? The behavior, especially in behavior, that the thing that we do, we shouldn't do that like the other ones are doing. And in another way, we should say the Agdama, the verse that came about I am Hashem your God, according to what it says and explained here, that again, we're talking about the permissible thing that have no punishment. No punishment and no isur. But don't do them. It's very difficult because some of the things, it's like you don't have an isur, gray area, but it's not appropriate. So there is no isur, there's no punishment, but we shouldn't do that. And that's the most difficult thing. Because it's like there's no obligation. Hashem is telling us, behave. Right? Behave. And it says in it here, a Jew can come into a nefilat ruach, like to be weak, like depressed. Which strength he needs to have in order to fulfill that? Because these are the things that actually, he said here, in yanim elu nafsho shel adam mechamdetam, like we desire these things. And the best thing is that we don't have an issue, right? We're not forbidden not to do that, but still we need to behave. And because it says in Inyane Isur, the thing that we know, we're not allowed to eat non-kosher food, you're not allowed to do this on Shabbat, right? So we have a specific list about things that we shouldn't do, and we keep it. And that's easy to do, relatively. And we have the fear from the punishment. But the thing that you don't have a specific list of Isurim, and you don't have any punishments on them, so what will keep us not to do it? What will be the will, right? The will that we should overcome and stop ourselves from doing such kind of thing that we should not do, because these are the one that they were doing in Eretz Mitzrayim and in Canaan. That will be like going against our nature. And for that it says, I am Hashem your God. We need to remember that, because we have a part which is directly related to Hashem, and there is nothing that we could not overcome, right? We have the will of power. And everything that is against Hashem, we need to use our own will of power. And we have the strength to overcome from that, because we are connected directly to Hashem. Like he says now, we bring a story from Maran Admo Bal Bet Avraham, from the Baal Shem Tov, זכותו יגן לנו, שבא אליו פריץ אחד, right? The guy came to him, and he was suffering from diseases. And he knew that the Baal Shem Tov have knowledge in refuah and in medicine. And he came to take advice for his sicknesses. And the Baal Shem Tov told him that his diseases and sicknesses are coming because he's sinking into this ugly thing that he's doing. And if you want the disease, and if you want to be cured, the disease to go away, he needs to detach himself from the things. And he asked, the Paris asked the Baal Shem Tov, right, like a man to a man, can you stop yourself from doing that? So the Baal Shem Tov answered with, oh, I'm an old person, I don't have this desire anymore. That was the answer. Then his grandchild, Rav Bruchel Memeshibuz, after the Paris left, he asked him why he gave him such kind of an answer and not the truth, that the Jew has the strength to detach himself from what we were forbidden to do. And the Baal Shem Tov told him that he couldn't explain him. He's not going to understand. So he told him like the natural answer, I'm too old, I don't have a desire for that anymore. And not that we are working, and not that we are fighting the evil inclination, and so on and so on. And Rabbi Baruch Meshibud, he was concluding the story, said that my grandfather said that we couldn't explain him. What is a Jew? And he said, we couldn't even explain to a Jew what's the strength of a Jew. And we see that. No, maybe not in these things, but we have so many stories from the past and even from the recent past, like in the Holocaust, that people that were not frum at all, they were actually going against. But when the Nazis put them in some kind of situation, they were willing to die and not to transgress something. Suddenly they found that strength to die on the Kiddush Hashem. So he said, we couldn't explain a goy, but we couldn't even explain a Jew what the strength that we have, which is an indefeatable strength, and nothing in the world can overcome. And the evil inclination purpose, right, is to bring us to the doubts that we don't have the strength, that we cannot overcome. So you better just do it and get the punishment. But no, truly we have the power. And therefore the Torah wrote for us, right? Ki ani Hashem Elokechem, I am Hashem your God. And there's nothing in the world that you could not overcome. And therefore, what they're doing in Eretz Yisrael and what they're doing in the land of Canaan, you shouldn't do, because you have the strength and the power not to do that. And we have that supernatural, we're like superhero in that sense. Why? Because we have our neshama, part of the neshama, right? The neshama have 5 parts. We have nefesh, ruach, neshama, chaya, chida, right? And one of them is actually 2 of them connected directly to Hashem. And it's called chelek eloka mima'al, like a part of Hashem from above. And it was like the quarry was digged from the kisei kavod, from Hashem's dome. And by this supernatural, we have the ability to overcome, but we just need to remember that. And that's why it says, everywhere it says, I am Hashem Elokechem, I am Hashem your God. We need to remember that. And because of that, there is nothing that you cannot overcome. Shkoyach.
Good.
And this is something that also is like, like, if you ask people, what is the holiest chag that we have, or the holiest day that we have? Yes, secular, Yom Kippur, right? Yom Kippur. Even in Israel, everything is closed. All the kids taking the bicycles in the middle of the road because nobody drive except, the law enforcement, ambulances, etc. if it's needed. The whole country is shut off. The airports are closed. Nobody can come in and out during Yom Kippur in Israel. Unbelievable. No country in the world doing that. If you ask them, what's the holiest day? Yom Kippur. What do you read in Mincha of Yom Kippur, the most holiest day? This Parashat. All the riot, everything that we shouldn't go to the sister and to the uncle and to the aunt and to the this and da. Like, why? It doesn't make sense, right? I would assume that in the most holiest day, we were going to have the Torah, maybe the parasha about the Kabbalat Torah, the 10 Commandments, Mount Sinai, fireworks, etc. No, he said, even when you are like an angel, you are fasting the whole day, so you are detach yourself from the physical thing, and you're more on a spiritual level. Yeah, you need to remember that these things are, the evil inclination will work on us, and he will try to tempt us, and even in the most holiest day, we shouldn't think about it, and the Torah is warning us. So, very important.
Sure, very good. Oh, that's great.